What is up, everybody? It is good to be back here together again, is it not? Yes, it is. It is day 2 of the Radiant Acrylic Landscape Workshop, and we're so happy and delighted to have you here. I'm Jed, and I've got 2 amazing people right here with me, the wonderful Diana Shine, who we're all excited for, and Mr. Peter Stout.
Hi, everyone.
What's up?
Very good. How are you guys feeling today?
Really good. Excited about today. I'm seeing so many people who are excited to learn this stuff, and I'm excited too.
Yeah, me
love
too.
it.
You guys are in for a treat. I know a lot of you have learned from Diana before, but for those of you that haven't, just put your seatbelts on, sit back and enjoy. It's going to be amazing. So
It's going to be fun, and I feel really humbled and blessed and delighted that you're here to join Ed and me and Peter in this adventure together. I'm just so pleased that you came to be here with us.
You know, one of my favorite things ever is just highlighting what people say like this. It's just the best. Like so many people are excited for today, excited to see you, Diana, excited to learn. And that's what it's all about. You know, we just come together. Everybody, you can see the people coming in from all over the world. And it's really a joy to be able to come together with creativity and do something that is a little bit challenging, right? I mean, we're coming together, it takes some courage, but then there's these moments of great joy that are interspersed throughout the whole thing, right? Where we get to laugh at ourselves, not take it too seriously, learn something, have fun, experiment. And so anyways, guys, it's going to be a great day today. Diana is just an amazing person. And if you haven't been to a class with her before, you'll see that later, like Peter said. But we're excited for today, that's for sure.
Absolutely.
Me too.
Well, we will get to our business, you guys. We know that you're here. We honor you, your time. Thank you for being here. We're going to jump into the slides real quick, and then we'll let Diana take it away in a little while. So thank you, Diana. Thank you, Peter. We'll see you guys shortly.
Sounds great.
Okay. So it is day 2, and I still want to say to you, I'm Jed. It's an honor to serve you. It really is. And stay till the end. We're going to give away another $250 gift card. This is day 2 of the Radiant Acrylic Landscape Challenge. We're thankful and excited that you're here. As you can see, there's 3 sessions. We're on the second one, Freedom with Color. Diana Shine is going to be teaching today. And like we were saying, Diana is one of the most amazing people I know personally. She is an incredible artist and instructor. And more than anything, I'm glad to say she's an amazing friend. And anybody who will stick through this lesson, you will see just the joy and the life that comes out of her. And the subject that we're talking about today is color. And so I have this question for you. What is something that you want to learn about color? You know, just thinking about, you know, there's a lot of questions that we get about color. And I just love to see some of your things that you're thinking, like, what would be something that you want to learn about? I see, let's see. Oh, excited to put paint in the correct placement and not be so messy. Color is my favorite. How to mix colors. How to not make mud. Vibrant greens, how to mix greens. I think that greens are an interesting one for sure. Mixing grays, which is a really cool one. How to keep it fresh. How to mix brights. How to mix colors. Saturated versus unsaturated colors. That kind of ties into the grays. How to choose the right colors and mix them. How to brighten my work. How to get more confident about using bold colors. Warm versus cool. So guys, see, I mean, the thing is that color is a big subject, and there's a lot, just so much there. And you're going to get so many good answers from Diana today. I can't guarantee that every one of those things will be hit today, but if you pay attention today, you're going to gain so much. Today's session is going to be about 90 minutes. There's going to be instruction, demonstration, prizes, and then at the end, another Q&A. And here's a quick question for you. Where do you find everything related to this workshop? That's the question. Where do you find everything related to this workshop? This is just kind of bang, bang, bang. You go to radiantartchallenge.com. I know that some of you guys are going to write that in there. I know that you guys there, I see on the dashboard, and this is the dashboard, radiantartchallenge.com. The other thing is, guys, make sure that you jump into the Facebook group Look at all the fun stuff that people have been painting, posting in there. So again, you go to radiantartchallenge.com. You can click on the Facebook group tab. You can also go to watch the replays there. You can get the reference photos, the supply list, everything like that. That's what it looks like on a computer or a desktop or something. But if you have a phone, it's going to look a little different. So you're going to just click on the button, but you have to scroll down to see the actual stuff. But I want to say, guys, now that we're kind of helping you navigate, if you haven't been there before, or you know what, a lot of people drop in on day 2. They didn't even come on day 1. They don't know everything. So that's why we take time to try to show you where to go. But if you were here on day 1 and you're here on day 2, I want to say congratulations, because you made it to day number 2. And that means if you were here day 1, there's a good chance that you did a painting from day 1. And I want to say, what is one thing that you learned through your first homework painting? What's one thing? You don't have to, it doesn't have to be, amazing or anything, but there's a chance, a pretty good chance that you got something out of it. So I'm going to look here. Okay. Let's see. Putting color. Okay. Putting color in. Oh, okay. That's probably an answer to the other question. Let's see. Don't hesitate. That's a good one. Yeah. Don't hesitate. Use a big brush. Just do it. My second try was better. Sometimes you learn through the first one. That's why it's good to expect these to be practice paintings, a bit more about perspective, to let go of perfectionism. I love that. There's no such thing as a mistake. You're getting into Bob Ross territory there, right? Because he says, we don't have, what did he say? We don't make mistakes. We have happy accidents. Do not overdo it. This is funny. I dislike oranges. LOL. Yeah. Loose, big brushes. I need a bigger brush. Yeah, sometimes you realize that to do something, you actually do need a different tool. Cutting in the background was a new approach. Yeah, so look at all this, guys. I love seeing what you learned, because we're all taking steps together. Here's the other thing. I want to remind us, each one of us, that there are these stages of the creative process. And most of us, a lot of times, we go through all these stages. The first one is, this is awesome. The second stage is, this is tricky. The third stage, this is terrible. Fourth stage, I am terrible. Fifth stage, this might be okay if we keep going. And at the end, we return to, this is awesome. That's honestly the struggle sometimes that we have to go through. So again, I just want to say congratulations. Congratulations, you did it. And if you're one of the ones that had a kind of a hard struggle in there, and you're like, man, that was kind of, I just want to say, you're here. Everything is going to be okay. And today is, honestly, it's going to be a great day. And I'm excited. I want to encourage you to hold on to your dreams. I believe in you. We believe in you. Keep going. Don't give up. You have a unique gift to offer the world. And those of you who took advantage of this, I gave you my number on Monday. I guess that was Monday. 425-400-2094. And I got a ton of responses. Been trying to write back as many of you as I possibly can. I think I got through almost everybody. But and if my responses are kind of wacky or something, it's probably because I'm tired. I don't know. But anyways, if you haven't written me, make sure you do. Tell me your name. What is your goal in art? And if you've already written and you want to write again, this is the third question that I'd love to kind of interact with you on, is, what is your biggest obstacle in art? Thing is that we love coming alongside you. I'm here for you. Acrylic University, we're going to open up our membership on Friday. And so that is a place where you can dream and grow and have fun. And Diana and I today want to just, again, welcome you to this place of learning. Diana's going to be teaching today. So if you have questions for her through the through the demonstration that you don't feel like get answered in the chat, make sure you stay till the end, because we're going to have another Q&A. And speaking of questions, I do have one more question for you, because today is called Freedom with Color. I want to ask you, what holds you back from being free in your color choices? I get a lot of people who say things like, how do you choose a color that's not in there? Like, what do you think freedom looks like, and what holds you back from being free with color? So I'm going to look. Okay. I see something here. I see lack of knowledge. That's a good one. I see too many color choices. Yeah, I mean, that's a big one. Uncertainty. I have too many colors. I actually think that's a huge one. I'm afraid of too bold or wacky of colors. Not sure which color to use. Too much schooling. Hey, I hear you, Ellen. Sometimes we need to distill the information. We have too much information or too many varying opinions. Jen says lack of imagination, being colorblind. Oh, wow. You know what? Here's another one, colorblindness. I have a story to tell you guys. I will tell you at the Q&A. Somebody remind me to talk about blindness. Okay. Perfectionism. Okay, guys. So there's a lot of things that can hold us back. Today, what I want you to know is the big idea from today is if you can understand values, this is where knowledge is helpful. It will actually give you freedom with your color choices. Are you guys ready for today? Are you ready to learn from Diana? I want to see in the chat somebody say my favorite line. And you know what it is. Yes. Ready. And I'm waiting for it. Born ready. There it is. All right. Okay, guys, let's learn from Diana. Peter, let's roll this right now. We'll see you guys on the other side.
Hi, I'm Diana Shine, and today I want to show you some tips, tools, techniques, things you can do with your palette right now today that will give you better freedom with color. Kandinsky says that color can provide a psychic vibration. Color hides a power still unknown but real, which acts on every part of the human body. And we know this to be true when we enter a garden or a grove or a gallery. Color excites us, thrills us, calms us, creates vibrations inside of us that nothing else can do. And so what happens when we go see some masterworks in a museum or a gallery is this happens to me all the time. I look at it and say, I love the color they found, but I just don't see this color with my eyes and my life. I don't experience these colors. How did these artists find this? Well, I'm going to give you a little clue as to how they do it with just some simple techniques. But first of all, we're going to need to start with 4 color basics. Now, many of you are experienced artists and you already know this, but I'm going to put them in order and I'm going to provide you with some tools that'll help you create greater freedom in your color work. But you do need to understand these 4 color basics. So for you experienced artists, this is review. For those of you who've never learned this, well, hang on. This is something new and hopefully we'll be able to unpack this and look at how you can create color freedom. Let's look at the very first color basic, which is simply a word, hue. The word hue means basic color. And for this conversation, we're going to talk about the 6 basic colors that begin our color wheel: red, orange, yellow, green, blue, and violet. The 6 basic hues in color mixing. And this word hue is an umbrella word. The word red, for instance, covers a whole range of reds. The word orange too, the word yellow. When we say that word, we create in our minds a concept, but it covers an enormous range of different types of that color. Let's look more closely. This is how I organize my palette. In a really simple, limited palette, you can create your 6 basic hues using this limited palette. In acrylic, these are ultramarine blue that I mix with a little bit of phthalo blue-green shade, quinacridone primary red, and cadmium yellow light. To create this color wheel, all I do is mix the colors in between. So to create an orange, I mix the yellow and red. To create green, I mix the yellow and blue right between the yellow and blue in line. And to mix the violet, I mix the red and the blue together in line around this color wheel. These 4 basic pigments create these 6 colors, and I'll show you how you can create every color with just a few simple pigments. I know it's easy to go to the art store and really go crazy buying every single tube of paint, but all you need are the 3 primaries in white to create a better and more easily seen color harmony. But what do you do about all these other colors? What do you do about all the range of colors we can see? Well, let's talk about the second color basic, value. Out of the tube or off the pen, every single color comes in a value. A value means light to dark. Here I've shown a scale from 1 to 9. 1 is white, 9 is black, and then there are increments of different levels of gray in between. And value simply means the lightness or darkness of a color. And we can see that every color has its own particular lightness or darkness. The blues are darker, the yellows are lighter. But let's see what we can do with our paints. Paints can be lightened or darkened to every color. Remember that value range? From white to black. Every color we squeeze out of the tube can be lightened with white or darkened with black. How easy is that? There's not much easier to lighten a color or darken a color than that. Here's our third color basic. Temperature. That means the visual warmth or coolness of a color. Warm colors are colors of the sun and fire and heat, the color of a hot plate you don't want to touch. And cool colors are the colors of snow and ice and cold water. It doesn't reflect the actual physical temperature of a thing. It's just the colors that are represented here. When we look at a rainbow, we see that the colors are separated out. That's what a rainbow does. It extracts the different wavelengths of color and separates them out. Warm colors are created from yellow or red or contain yellow or red, and cool colors in the rainbow contain blue. When we're talking about paint, white is also considered a cool color. If we stretch these rainbow colors out in a row, and then we turn that row into a color wheel, we can really see that they are divided. Warm colors on the one side contain yellow or red, and cool colors contain blue. But there are nuances in this. Here are some greens. On the photo on the left, upper left, we can see that those greens contain some warms, some yellows. I took both these photos on a hike on the same day. It isn't about the temperature of the day. It was quite a hot day. It's about the temperature of the color. In the upper left, we can see that those greens contain yellow or red or a combination of yellow and red. They are warm greens. On the right, we can see that the greens contain, as an element of their mixture, white or blue or a combination of white and blue. So if you want to warm up a color with your paint, you'd have some combination of yellow and red. If you want to cool down a color of paint, you'd add some combination of white and blue. How easy is that? And here's the fourth color basic. We're already to the fourth color basic, and it's this: intensity, otherwise known as chroma. When I first started taking art classes many years ago, 40 years ago now, 40 some years, the teacher would throw out the word chroma and I would nod, pretend like I knew what they were saying, or I'd read an art book and yep, chroma. It just means the brightness or dullness of a color, the intensity of the color. Bright colors are also known as high intensity, high chroma, highly saturated colors. Saturated means how much paint pigment is in the color. Dull colors are called low intensity colors, low chroma. They're also considered muted or grayed, low saturation. You can gray these colors down even further to create tones of gray, beige, brown, or khaki. They all originate from those same 6 highly intense, high, brightly saturated colors. They can be grayed. Let's see how you can do it. So when we start with the colors on our color wheel, these ones right down the center, we'll see that the brightest colors, except for yellow, are mid-value. They're mid-value on the value scale. Let's look at how we can see that. Let's take a look at this grape. It looks really bright. It's filled with light. Sunlight's pouring, actually coming through it. It's translucent. It looks light to me, to my eye. But when I put a value scale up there, I notice that it's mid-value. If I turn this from a color photo to a black and white photo, I can see that really easily. That grape is mid-value. The yellow-green, not so much, because remember I said yellows come out of the tube bright at a lighter value. They're the one exception to this. All bright colors are mid-value rule. Well, it's not really a rule. It's a tool to help us think this through. Another way to get your colors to look brighter is to increase the value contrast around them. Here's a painting by my dear friend, Al Currier. I've turned his painting to black and white, and we're going to bring our attention to the light in the sky and the light in the puddle. And we're noticing that those two values are a number 2 value. The colors are also very bright because they contain yellow. But the colors on the ground in the puddles look a little brighter than the ones in the sky. And the reason for this is that the color in the sky is surrounded by values that don't create a very big contrast. The ones on the ground are surrounded by black or by a value that creates a bigger contrast. The color on the ground looks brighter because it's surrounded by something darker and duller. You can drop the intensity of a color without changing the value. To lower the chroma or intensity of a light color, you add white. And what that does is the white just simply thins out the paint and desaturates it, makes there be less of the color pigment. To change the intensity of a color going dark, you add black, and that lowers the chroma by, again, diluting that color with black. And you can also change the intensity of those brilliant mid-value colors by creating a gray that's also mid-value. And adding it to the mid-value colors, you drop the intensity without changing the value. How easy is this to just think of black, white, and gray as ways to drop the intensity of a color, make it not so bright. Here's another way to do it. It's the way I like to do it in my palette. I tend to make a lot of mud when I'm painting with black. So when I adjust the intensity of a color, I will add drops of the complementary color. So let's take a look. Here's a yellow-green I clipped out of one of my paintings. And when we look at the color wheel, I'm going straight across the color wheel and looking the color directly across from it. That is the complement. So here I'm putting that complementary color next to this yellow-green, but it's really a lot darker. So before I add that pigment, I adjust it with white to be about the same value so it doesn't change the value. If I were to put a dark pigment into a light pigment, I'm going to darken it. So what I do is add just a couple of little tiny drops of this adjusted red-violet and drop the intensity of my color. I feel like it gives me a more sparkling but lower intensity color than just gray alone. It's said in painting that color gets all the attention, but values do all the work. And I have found this to be true. So let's look at some of the ways that our number 2, color basic, really help pull your painting together and do all the work in creating an amazing masterpiece. Tolstoy says that all the beauty of life is made up of light and shadow. Let's see how that works in a painting. First of all, values help create the bones of a painting. This little photo of a cat I'm going to simplify it so you can see just the darks and lights. And we can see that the dark values and the light values create abstract shapes that will create the underlying undercarriage of the painting, that will create the interest, the compositional impact of the painting that just a cat laying on the floor wouldn't have all by itself, as cute as that kitty might be. Secondly, when we simplify values, those simplified values create the shapes of the composition. I'm turning this little image to black and white and simplifying it and showing how these mid values, the light values, and the small impact of dark values create the overall shapes of the composition that really help the viewer's eye flow through the image. In its most simple form, we can see how your eye flows through the center of the image in these diagonal patterns based on the impact of the light and dark values. The other thing values do is they explain the form of an object. When values pass over an object, we can see that where there are light values, we can reserve our values 1, 2, and 3 for sources of light and objects with direct sunlight on them. Where that object begins to turn, we use mid values. We'll save those values 4, 5, and 6 for our brilliant colors. Remember how bright colors are mid values? We are going to save those mid values for shadows with reflected light in them and for planes that are turning away from the light. So when we're explaining form, mid values explain where the object begins to turn away from the light. And we'll save our dark values, values 7, 8, and 9, for shade, shadows, and anything that doesn't have light shining directly on it. And that will expose the form and how light catches on it and shadows are cast. Values also reveal the time of day and the angle and intensity of the sunlight, even without color. We can see on this building that the time of day has changed. The intensity of sunlight has changed just by the impact of values. We can get a feel for the angle of the sunlight and where the sun is coming from. When we add the emotional impact of color, it really brings everything to life. By staging those values, we create the effect of sunlight. Remember how we looked at how values create form? It's the same way with creating that really brilliant light effect. So we save those values for specific uses. Here I've turned this photo to its simplified form again, just 3 basic values. So we can see values 1, 2, and 3 are reserved for the sun, the sky, and objects that have direct light shining on them. We save values 4, 5, and 6 for things that are really brilliantly colored. Keep an eye on these greens when I put the color back in these photos. Things that are turning away from light to shadow. Look at areas where the light is turning. For instance, right here where shade is turning to light, you'll see some mid-value forms right there. And we save values 7, 8, and 9 for shadow and things that have no light at all on them. When we bring the values back, or we bring the colors back, we can see what an impact those values really had on creating the effect of light. Values reveal the subtleties of shadow and light. Sometimes on a day that isn't really brilliantly lit, we can use values to reveal the beautiful aspects of shadow and light. Take a look here. All these shadows are in mid value. It would be very difficult to see these in full color because sometimes color confuses us. We get so excited by color because it vibrates and creates an emotional impact that it makes it really hard to see things like delicate shadows that are full of reflected light. When you see large value contrasts, a painting like this painting of the Rouen Cathedral by Monet, it's got a large value contrast from white to black. That shows us that there is strong light depicted. In this second painting of the same cathedral, he has a very small contrast between light and dark. And that depicts really soft lighting. We can see this when we bring the color back, the emotional impact, but we can also feel the strength of the light with those large value contrasts and the delicacy of the light with those small value contrasts. Here's another thing values do. If you didn't think that was enough, values can convey distance. Let's look at that idea of value contrast again. A large value contrast, all the way from black to white, can often be seen in the foreground. That value jump from light to dark is largest in the foreground. In the midground, that value jump becomes much smaller. In the background, you have an even smaller value jump, maybe just one value space away. And in the far distance, there is no jump at all or very little noticeable jump. The value jump, meaning the jump between light and dark, gets closer and closer together the farther into the distance you get. Aren't values amazing? So how do we see values? When we see in color, this is a question I get all the time from my students, and it's a valid one. Because color creates such a strong emotional reaction, it's really hard to see the values. So here's what I do when I'm outside on location. I have a red transparency with me, and I just put it between my eyes and what I'm looking at, and it blocks out enough of the color so that I can see values. It also darkens everything up a bit. You have to adjust for that, but it just blocks out enough color that I can understand what the values are doing. If I'm working from a photograph, I can use my photo editing software and just slide the saturation knob down so that I can see the values. And finally, there's a tried and true method, which is to squint. Squinting, really squinting, like looking through your eyelashes squinting, can block out enough of the detail and color to help you see values. Take a try right now, squint at something and see how much detail is lost. The values show up. So here's a thought. Even if you're looking at ordinary, dull color, you don't have to paint it that way. As the artist, you have the freedom to do something else. We often have these preset, pre-conditioned ideas in our head. Like one of them in my head is that snow is white, that leafless tree branches and trunks are gray, and that evergreen trees are green. And when I look at this little hut, this little wood hut in the snow, my presuppositions are pretty much borne out. This is a photo took around midday. And yes, the branches and trunks are gray. The snow is white. The cast shadow on the snow is basically a grayish color. The evergreens in the back are green. But look what happened when I took this same picture first thing in the morning. All my presupposed ideas are out the window. The snow is coral. The shadows are blue-violet. The trunks of the trees are orange. The shadows on those evergreen trees are violet. The little hut is bright yellow. So you can take this clue from Mother Nature. You don't have to go with what your preconceived ideas are. You can go ahead. You can go bold. What colors do you think belong in this image? What are your presets? My presets say the beach is beige, maybe brown cliffs. The trees are green. There must be some blue in the water. But, whoa, let's take a look at what it really is. This photo I took on Prince Edward Island where the ground is red. It makes the greens so vibrant, and it changes your preset ideas of what colors might be into something more bold. Freedom with color creates a more powerful painting. Here's some black and white photos of some favorite artists. And we can see that through the black and whites, they stayed very true to the values, that number 2, color basic. Every one of these artists stayed quite true to their values. But when we release the color, who knew that there was a bright yellow and turquoise sky, or a brilliant, almost electric blue mountain, or crazy orange and blue clouds, or a green face? When you stay true to the values, you can have freedom with color. You can go crazy with color. You can explore and experiment and have fun doing it. So let's talk about that freedom with color. Number 1, you're safe. You're safe if you experiment with color, but it does take some time behind the brush. So here's some things you need to know about freedom with color. Understand this. This is the key to it all. Correct value is more important than correct color. Number 2, learn how to see the values of colors, either with red transparency or by sliding down the saturation knob or by squinting. Learn how to translate that color into a value. And the third thing is to learn how to change the value of your paints. What do you need to do to take a paint that's too dark and lighten it, or a paint that's too light and darken it? How do you change the values of your paints? And the fourth one is use a limited palette like I showed you. Just 3 simple primary colors in white and often black. Use a limited palette. You really can't go wrong. So without any further hindrance to this party, let's go. Let's paint. And I'll show you some quick, easy tips, and I'll show you some things I do with my palette to create colors that give me more freedom with color. Let's paint. So let's look at this reference photo. I chose it because it's particularly uninspiring. There's just some dark and some light. There's hardly anything going on here. I have printed up my value scale and already I have some paint on it. But we can see with the value scale, everything in the sky is a 1, 2, or 3 value. We're sort of getting 4 value in this cloud area, but everything on the ground is a 7, 8, or 9 value. So everything I'm going to create for the ground here will be this dark value. And my roof, when we look at this trapezoid of the roof, it's a 6. And when we look at this trapezoid of the roof, it's a 5. Clouds are a 4. So we can be pretty sure that we can separate our values and keep them clear. I'm going to use a clear plastic report cover that I'm tearing open and work on it on top of my 8.5 by 11 printout to make some modifications and to test out different colors. I'm going to use a dry erase marker because to mark off where I want to crop this photo, because I don't want all that dark at the bottom. It's too evenly spaced with the light. Now I've pushed the light up, made more of it. Now I'm going to start mixing some colors that I think will look good in this composition. The first color is a black using my red, green, and a touch of yellow. I like that. It's beautiful. And a deep blue violet with my red, my blue, and my white. Now I'm mixing a brown using green, red, and yellow. It's a number 6 value. But I thought that color brown was ugly. I'll try for some others. I'm just going to keep mixing. Let's see. I'll try mixing a color that I think would look good on the roof. A number 4 or 5 value, bright teal. And here's some colors I think I want to try out in the sky. What are some other neutrals? There's like a neutral cloud up there in the sky. It's not purple. It's not red violet. I don't like that. Oh, that paler purple or this paler pink might be the color. We'll see. Once I get all the colors up there, I'll see what I can do. But I think I like this blue violet for the ground. Let's try it out. I'm going to just smear it all over right on top of the plastic. The paint will not stick to the plastic unless it's completely free of water. If you have any water at all in the paint, it will not. So here I'm mixing a lighter blue-gray violet for the sides of the barn. It's just such a lovely color. And I think that might be something really nice. In my color printout of this, everything came out looking just gray and dull. So I want something beautiful. Here I'm adding yellow and orange to this sky. Oops, there's a little bit of green in my brush. I won't know anything about these colors and how they look until I get them in place. I want to see them, how they bounce off of each other. I want to see how they look together. As I said in my tutorial, it doesn't matter what color you use, really, Except that it is the right value. But the colors still really need to bounce against each other, look good together, be beautiful, and create a harmony together. And that's what painting on this plastic is all about. It helps me visualize what the colors will do when they're laid next to each other without the responsibility of it being on a canvas. And in this way, I can experiment over and over again and try a bunch of different color combinations. If I don't like this one, what combination will I like? That's the whole point of this. And it also frees me to feel like it's not important that I make a mistake. It's important that I make decisions. Now I think I'll add some more warmth to the ground here, a red violet, and just let some of the sky peek out from some slatted broken boards in the barn. It's not in the photo, but I think it would bring some of that sky color down. Oh no, I made them look like eyeballs, but in the real painting, they won't look like eyes and a mouth, I promise. Here's that little bit of water reflecting some sky I was thinking about. And I like the idea of bringing a little bit more of the sky color down and then adding a different note in the clouds up in the sky. We'll see if that rings more true for me. There, putting something around that barn roof, getting in some littler notes. The main thing is just getting enough of this covered so I can make decisions about the colors I want to see and make sure they're the right value. I apologize for speeding this part of our video up a little bit, but I wanted there to be enough time to go through the real painting very thoroughly and completely. So with the time we have allowed, I did speed this up a bit. If you think I'm speed painting, it's the film is actually speeded up a little bit, but I am putting in a few of the last details that I would like to see in my real painting. I think this might be a pretty good place to call it quits on this little study and do the last little pieces I think are worth it. But I'm going to pull this up, put on another piece of my report cover, and I'm going to try a different color combination. I really like that first set of colors. Let's try another set of colors. I'll tape on a new report cover. You don't have to use a report cover. You can do a little sketch and then paint over it. You can paint in your sketchbook. You can do a little 2-inch by 4-inch mock-up, whatever feels right to you. But here, I'm going to try something really different in the sky. I'm going to use that phthalo green blue shade and some yellow and make the sky sort of a vivid green and green blue. And see how that feels to me. I think it might be really different. I don't know when I've ever seen a bright teal sky. Oh, that's not true. In the winter, I've seen teal-colored skies and in really weird weather coming in. But let's see what this looks like. I think it might be very interesting to do something completely unusual in the sky. And then I'm going to have to think about if the sky was teal. I don't want teal rooftops. And I don't really like those rays coming out, but maybe they'll be okay. This certainly isn't the finished painting, so it doesn't matter. But I'm thinking about what would be a good color. And I think maybe rose, a rose color for that rooftop would be beautiful and make a nice statement against that teal here. I'm trying out a pale lavender rooftop and seeing what that looks like. That one has to go darker. And what if the ground was this blacky green color that I mixed? And I put some white into that blacky green gray color and made a soft gray for the barns and the silo. I'm lifting that silo up a little bit because I would like it to break up the silhouette of this a little bit. And I'm adding red to the color on the ground now to make it really warm. It's still a number 8, 9 value, but look at how warm it reads with the teal sky. I'm trying out a gray for the cloud. Don't really care for it. Trying out some blue in the sky. Maybe. Maybe. This is all just a big experiment to see what I like, don't like. But I did like my idea of making this barn. Like I see in the Skagit Valley so many barns that have gone into disrepair. Their boards are falling off. Sunlight comes through from end to end. And I really like the idea of that here. I'm going to try not to make it look like eyeballs and a goofy mouth. Here's my color harmony. I'm going to peel all this stuff off so I can get started with my sketch. I'm going to start my sketch with that lowered edge of the ground with the lower horizon line and find where the barns fit in that, the proportions of the barns. The biggest one is about 1/3 the size of the entire width of my 12 by 16 canvas. So I'm testing to make sure it's about 1/3 the size. And the top of it is about twice the height of this little birthday cake thing I have down here. So I've drawn a little X from corner to corner so I get that peak right in the middle. And then I'm just going to attach that peak from edge to edge. Oh no, it's too high. So I'm going to measure using my finger on my pencil and realize the top of it is right there. Oh, too high. Because of that, I am going to find the angle of the roof line and attach the back. There I have a basic barn shape. In my Acrylic University workshop for September, I have a tutorial on perspective and how to create barns in perspective that, if you're more interested in the perspective of this, would be really helpful. So there's that if you are a member. Find the angle of the little barn and the width of the third barn. I'm finding out where the top of the roof goes, and here's how I get the angle. I lay my pencil along the angle of the roof and just recreate that angle on the paper. Once again, lay my pencil along the angle of the roof and recreate it. It really helps. It's not perfect, but in this case, I can always rework some of these angles with paint as I go along. It's kind of a messy drawing, but it's not going to matter. My paint's going to cover, and here, I'll just take some white and cover up that mess right there. I don't need all the details because the paint will do a lot of the work. I've got the little bit of water down below where those windows and slats are going to be. I'll probably have to refine them later because the paint will cover it, but I want to familiarize myself with all of the details of this that are relevant to this painting. So many of the details in the shadow are not. Now it's time for a wash, and I'm going to use my 2-inch wash brush on this whole surface. I didn't have you put the wash down in advance because I'm going to work into it wet and wet. So I'm getting my brush nice and full of water, and I am mixing an orange color from my cadmium yellow medium and my primary magenta. It's going to be transparent. I will be able to see right through it. The water makes it transparent. The 2-inch wash brush makes it easy to cover the entire surface of the painting very quickly while the paint is still wet. And that's saying, while this paint is still wet, it's time for me to wipe out my lights. This is a tutorial on values, so I'm going to take a damp paper towel and I'm going to wipe away everything on this board on my 16 by 20 canvas that is a 1, a 2, or a 3 in value. If you're no longer aware of what's a 1, 2, 3, just check the reference photo again And I'm going to wipe that away and leave a little bit of this red up here in the under layers. I like that. Now I'm going to mix a darker color with my red and my green together, my phthalo green blue shade. That's going to make a really nice dark color. And I am going to paint everything that is a 7, 8, or 9 on the value scale with this color. I've chosen not to use black because I want these darks to be filled with color. So I'm really hesitant to use black here, although I've done it in the past and many people do use black. It's okay if you want to. No one's going to be mad. Oh no, I just covered up my roof. Oh, that's too bad. But I can get it. I'll wipe it back and redo it. Right now, while the paint is wet, I want to get all these darks up here. And that's what's really fun, is just seeing how this whole thing is going to shape up. There's that roof. Get rid of a few more of these mid values. I really want to get a sense of the light, the mid value, and the dark in this composition before I get started. It's such an easy photo. There's just 3 main blocks of values. But anyway, becoming aware and familiarizing myself with those values is really important to me. While this really sketchy sketch is drying, I'm going to wipe away that watery pigment and use this color shaper to mix up some colors for my painting. If you don't have a color shaper, you can use something like this. I got at the dollar store. It's just a rubber spatula I got for $1.25. So you can use a palette knife or a brush to mix your colors. But I'm going to use this color shaper, otherwise known as a painting blade. You get it at the art store next to the paintbrushes. And I'm going to mix up the colors. I liked the second one I did with the teal sky, so I'm mixing up a bunch of teal and just wiping my paint tool off as I go through the colors and get the values right on here, right on the palette before I even begin. Here's my orange. I'm mixing it between the red and yellow. I'm going to try to keep this palette as close to a color wheel as I can so I know exactly how I mixed these colors. I think I'll make another big pile of that really dark color that I mix using my red and my green mixing together. Usually red and green makes brown, but with these two pigments, they make a really deep, almost a purpley black. And now here's my purple color. I think I'll get a little bit of that yellow in there that I mixed up and make it some red violet that's a little warmer. I want to make sure it stays in the 7, 8, and 9 value range so that I have a big range of colors for the dark area. I want the darks to be particularly beautiful. I'm mixing my ultramarine blue and a little orange with some white to get a soft blue violety gray for the sides of those barns. That seems like it's going to be really beautiful. And a little bit of the blue in the sky way up in the top. That's the phthalo blue. I'll test it out here and see what it looks like. It's not dry yet and I want to start painting. So I'm going to get out a hairdryer and I'll turn off my sound so it won't be obnoxious. Okay, now we're going to put a little bit more of a wash here. I'm going to start laying in my color. That wasn't dry because it was thick. I'm going to start laying in my color with a big brush. In this case, I'm going to use that 2-inch brush. And I am going to put some beautiful dark orangey red here first. And then I will put that blue that I used, but I'm going to darken this up a little bit with some warm color. Ooh, isn't that gorgeous? Just laying color over color. And again, I do own the color reference to this, but I am not going from it. I'm just going to put my own spin on this, my own take, my own colors. I want this 2-inch wash brush for the sky, so I'm really swishing it. Drying it off. Now, lighter yellow. And if I lose my drawing, that's okay. I have the photo reference. I want more of this and less of that green. More of this. So to make a segue, I'm going to layer the colors. Woo, that's kind of beautiful. Oh my goodness. Ooh, I want some of that bright orange down here. Glowing. And see that mess? It doesn't have to stay there. I'm going to use my color shaper to pull it off. And put some more color over that. And what I'm doing is just laying down color quickly, as fast as I can go, trying not to overthink this process, trying to make this process just come out of my hand. I'm squinting my eyes. You can't see that. I'm looking at the overall feel of this. This is going to dry way too dark, I think. So we'll get it lightened in just a minute. What happens with acrylics often is they do, depending on the brand you have, they will dry a little darker. The remedy for that is just layer over more color that's a little lighter. And I know this is rough, but I will get it less rough in a minute. I'll switch to my number 10, bright. Get some of this yellow along here. And I'm doing a little bit of cross hatching. And once I get some of this on, I will wait until it's dry to add more. But I do want that purplish cloud in there, but it has to be really, really faint, light. It's in the sky, and we noticed that everything in the sky was a 1, 2, or 3 value. So I like that, but clouds, I want that cloud to have soft edges for now. I want it to be a yellow color on the other side of it. Oh, I'm really having fun doing this. I don't know if it's going to turn out. I suspect that we can pull something out of this, but it is always a juggle when you're making stuff up. And one of the things is, it's just making yourself happy is part of this. Pleasing yourself with whatever colors, shapes you choose to define what you want. I love that whole idea. This one I had a pale orange. That's too brown. Or a mid-value orange. That one I had a pinky orange. I think I'm going to put bright red right here. We'll see what that does. It's over the other dark colors. Now I'm going to start with my darks and start laying in some darker violets, red violets, blue violets, this blue-gray. Ooh, that's pretty. And I need to make sure that all of these colors I'm laying down are darker than anything up here. The barn is way too high, and I'm going to shear it off too. We only have one big barn. This one is littler. It actually comes way down here. So how easy or how difficult is that? Let's see. Cut that. I'll layer over it in a minute. Pretty much that's done. These are too much the same value right there. There's a dark, kind of dark rosy color. This is dark. And I want there to be warmth, some purples and some reds down here. I might add a few green notes. We'll see what that feels like when I get there. This still needs to be carved off a little bit. So as I go, I'm trying to switch up my colors just little bit by little bit. Oh, I'm adding some orange and red to that green. And it's still too bright. Here we go. Just bringing some green down in there. I'm going to get it turquoise, because why not? So I'm going to change that up and make it lighter from one side to the other. A little pinker on the other side. And this one we said was a pinkish color. In my sketch, I had it as a pinkish color. I'm not going to go full on pink. I want this a mid value. I want it darker than the sky, but lighter than the building. I feel like there's some more light right on this front edge and some dark under this. So I'll just pick up my dark. I know this paint is really wet, so it's going to smear, which is great. That's perfect. I'm going to bring this silo shape back here and add some different colors to it. Have this ground be really purple. This dark. I was going to build a little bit of a water, just a hint of an idea of reflected light in water down here. A light, something light to bring some of that sky down. This is not dry yet. I can see I have some drying time left to work on. So I'm getting my number 10 brush, rinse really well, dry it off, and here we go. I'm doing two things here. I'm lightening it, I'm softening it, I don't want to lose all my brushwork. That's not what I'm after. Here, let's make some more light, a more light yellow. It's going along the side of the barn. Ooh, that's cool. Just something beaming up off of there. The silo I'm moving over. There's that pale purple color. Oh boy. Here we go. I'm going to now do something that people get really worried about when I do a demo. But it's something that I really love using. It's a tool that I love using, and I am going to use it. I use it instead of a palette knife. And I've showed you this before when I was mixing. It's my color shaper. And what I'm going to do is just scoop up big gobs of my color onto my color shaper and use all the edges of this color shaper, the flat edge, to lay down some beautiful textures. And that's what I use it for, is to lay down gorgeous textures more than anything. So I need more red violet. Ooh, isn't that beautiful? I'll put too bright because it's in shadow. And the other thing I like to do is take the edge of my color shaper or the edge of a paintbrush or the edge of a broken pencil or something, and I like to scratch up this stuff. And the reason I like to do that is because it will leave a texture behind. I love that texture. So that's my feeling, is just leaving texture behind. When I do this, I like texture in my painting. I want there to be texture in my painting. If you don't like it, if you want things smooth, don't put it on. But it's fun to experiment with this kind of stuff for sure. That's too purple. Needs to be pinker. There we go. And lighter. Then there's some really light from this blue to blue-green to a lighter blue-green to a greeny gray over here. I don't know why I chose greeny gray. I just like it. I think this should be more orange. I think that should be more orange. We'll see. And that kind of looks like just a big hunk of something. I'll mess it up so it's more like a moving thing. I don't like that peak. Now, this is going to dry in a few minutes, and when it does, I'll paint over it. I want the texture, but I don't want all those scratches. I'm going to mix up a pale violet, too light. It still has to hold with my ground. It's a little bit darker for some, but really muted color for in here in the background. You don't have to use muted colors if you don't want to. I'm choosing to do that because I think it will benefit me in the end. Oh, I want to use my color shaper for that. I also want to use my color shaper for this. Here we go. The reason I want to is because it's going to lay down some stuff that looks textural. A little bit of this dark. Some light. Where I feel like that water, there's some puddles of water. And when we come closer, those puddles would be reflecting more of the green rather than, because they're laying out flat and they're reflecting some of the sky above. So some of these closer ones might have some green in there. The other thing I want to add, and this is the smallest brush I have for this, it's a number 6. So I want to take some of this yellow and just invent where some sunlight might be coming through some of these broken pieces in the barn. For that really, really dark color, I'm again mixing my red and green and creating a real dark, dark color. Mid-value. And then the side, there's some reflected light glowing down the side of it, also mid-value, or a mid-ish value. That didn't work. I'll get it though. I think. Oh, maybe, maybe not. It's a good day. Yeah, maybe I'll get it. Too dark, lighter. Sort of a transitional color. And then some really light, just thoughts of clouds. They need to have a yellow note in them, I think, or a purple note in them. But and then my brightest color, my bright, bright, bright yellow, right behind here. Like right out of the tube bright even. Now, a little bit of that color back behind here. Like it's looking like there's little pops of light coming through there. I've seen so many barns that are like starting to fall apart. And you can see that light coming through, which I love. Now this is starting to dry. It's not quite dry enough. This is fun as I go. I'm really just making this up as I go. And if I hate it, I might cover this whole thing up that I just did. It might just be really ugly, and it may be a good opportunity to get rid of it. Oh dear. Because what I loved about the sky that I made in my other piece was how clean and clear, and I'm losing track of that a little bit, trying to get too fancy or whatever. So here we go. Coming back to my roots. Let's come back with this big brush. And I am going to need to get out some more white which is fine. One of the things about skies is they're in motion. And you don't have to paint them all smooth if you don't want them. The air is blowing all around. They're in motion. When I look at Vincent van Gogh's work, he made his skies, even his blue skies, full of movement. So if you want movement in your sky, put it in. I am going to put a little bit of that color down here and the top of my barn back in. Lost it. Silo. The light on it isn't quite that exaggerated, but I like it. There's a little bit of warmth there. Create some dark. I like this little extra front of this building because it adds some interest. All right, now the last of the textures going on, and the last of this. And I hope you can see all the gorgeous color that's in here. It's kind of amazing how much dark color, the reds, the greens, the violets, the orangey, the browny orange reds. They're all in here, and it's gorgeous. I'm loving it. Covering up a lot of those scratches I made, because all I wanted them to do was create a little texture. Peak of the barn. Let's get that up there. Get some of this blue-gray in here. I hope that what you're seeing is that when you follow the values, you can go ahead and get way, way creative and free with color. The little barn top is dark. Whatever those little barn tops are called. It's not a chimney because it's made out of wood. It's full of holes. Might just be like a little vent or something. This one has got holes in it. Oh, I like the idea of just a little bit more of this purple cloud attaching there. There we go. Just something, a little bit of something else through here, because that went just dead and flat. And I don't want dead and flat. I want interesting. I want beautiful. I want the color to be showcased here. Okay, I'm going to let it dry, and then I will think about what else it might need to be finished, and we'll go from there.
Sorry. That was pretty awesome, wasn't it? And I'm going to just show a few of your comments because I'd love to hear you say thanks to Diana and shout it out, because isn't that awesome? Yeah, this was so good. Absolutely stunning, amazing. And you can look at this and say, okay, if you do need a replay, anything like that, make sure you go to radiantartchallenge.com. I'm going to throw up a couple more. May I have your painting, please? Cindy says. Awesome painting. Gorgeous. And actually, Kyla, nobody's won today anything because we're about to do it. So let's see. Yes. Oh my goodness. Beautiful. Awesome. I feel like this is worked and worked again. It's beautiful. Oh, but I would have had a money mess. I know. Well, that's the thing, is like Diana knows how to use color and keep it from becoming a mess, which is part of why we want to learn from people like Diana. Stunning. Thanks, Diana. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Diana. That was amazing. Thank you. And I could go on and on and on. So, yes, perfect. All right, you guys. Again, go to Radiant Art Challenge if you want to watch the replay, get reference photos, anything like that. The homework from this lesson is to choose a reference photo, either the one that Diana used of those cool barns, or to choose your own that you think might be kind of similar enough that you could use. Paint the scene in black and white, then paint it in the fun kind of experimental colors that you can use, knowing that as long as you keep the values right, you're going to be good. Share the photos in the Facebook group, and then come to session number 3, guys. And remember this, to say to yourself in this process as you're going through, that I am creative and I am courageous. We are bold as lions, but sometimes we need to remind ourselves of that so that we act accordingly. And in art, it takes courage to be creative, like Henry Matisse said. So are you guys ready for this giveaway? Are you ready? Peter, come on. Come on. I saw Peter going like that.
Yeah.
Ready?
We are ready.
So here's the deal, guys. If you are ready, I want you to make a comment right here in the chat. Make a comment. And Peter, I had a question come through the other day from somebody.
What's up?
They were asking, how do I chat in YouTube? We have the directions, I think, we have the directions somewhere.
It's on the dashboard.
It's on the dashboard. Yeah, that's what I thought. It's on the dashboard. So, and if you don't have a question and you're not quite sure, email us at support@Acrylic University. You have to have a YouTube channel to be able to chat in YouTube. So that takes a little time if you are not already there. But I see so many entries right now, people chatting.
Fantastic.
It's up to 1,050 entries right now, guys. So I still see them coming in, and I'm going to give you guys a few more seconds here before I make this thing. It's going to pick a winner here. We're going to do this. So
fantastic.
Guys,
and someone said
about this.
Yeah, someone said the other day, I think they said, can we actually choose the winners randomly? And we are choosing them randomly.
It is absolutely random.
So if you're still here, I'll have you know.
It is absolutely random, you guys. That's just the way that we roll. We used to use this thing that would actually roll all of the wheels and like that, but it was kind of technically kind of difficult to use, and so we are using something else, but it is totally random. It takes all the names that you guys when you have your comment in there, it'll choose your name. So here you go, guys. I am ready. I am picking the name, and I'm going to show you the name here in just a second. It is, let me see if I can say your name right. Melanie, congratulations. You won today. So
Yes.
if you won, just make sure you email us at support@Acrylic University. And hey, I want to congratulate, it was Terry Tracy who won on Monday. She won a $250 gift card. And the cool thing was she didn't get a response because her first email didn't get through to us, but she wrote again. She's like, hey, and we got that second email. So I just want to say, if you don't hear something back, it might have been that something happened with your first email. We will get back to you right away. So anyways, congratulations.
Absolutely.
We are going to look forward to seeing your email come through, guys. And it is now time for the Q&A.
The Q&A.
Let's bring Diana, the star of the show, onto screen here.
Fantastic.
You guys.
Hi, you guys. That was fun, wasn't it? It was crazy.
So
why don't I paint like that all the time? Just get rid of any reference to color whatsoever, any color reference photo at all, and just make it up. It was so much fun.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, amazing. So you guys, we're going to be.
Someone remembered.
Oh, color blindness story. Okay, Paul. Okay, so I have a friend in Indiana who is colorblind, but I had been painting with him for a number of years before I even knew that he was colorblind. But it was meaning I was going to these different plein air events and he would always be there. But I didn't realize he would always paint with his brother. And I knew that he painted with his brother, but I didn't know that there was a real reason for him to always paint with his brother. But the reason is because he's colorblind. And when they go out, his brother explains kind of the way that the colors look. And the funny thing is, for him, he didn't know that he was colorblind. He was painting earlier on. He was younger. He was married, and he painted his dog. And he showed his wife the picture, and she laughed at him. And he got quite offended, right? And he kind of like went away. But later he goes, why did you laugh at my painting? She said, well, because you painted our dog green. And he finally realized he was colorblind. But why I wanted to share that with you is because, man, he is an incredible artist, and he's just learned what colors go where on his palette, and he's learned how they interact together, and he does what we're talking about today. He uses the values that are there, and he uses his brother's helpful information to kind of gain just enough to know, okay, it's a fall day and the colors are turning a little bit this direction, And anyways, I just want to encourage you, if you feel like that is something that has held you back, to know that you can still be a very accomplished artist. I have a book where he is in it. It's like a amazing book with him, about 3 other artists, including his brother, and they painted all the waterways in Indiana, and it's just amazing. So it is something that you can overcome and become an amazing artist. So anyways, that's the story. Thanks for asking. Okay, Donna said, so we do 2 pictures, the black and white and then the color for homework. Is that correct?
You can. However, I cheated. I printed mine in black and white and put that clear sheet over it and did that painting over and then painted. So you get to choose. You may, if you don't have a printer or don't want to print it or don't have a clear sheet, paint your painting little thing in black and white and then paint right on top of it with the amazing colors you choose. Or do it my way. Cheater way.
Yeah, or do it that way. Good. Thanks for clarifying that. Okay, yes. Janet says, that was awesome, but want to know if you painted flat or upright on an easel.
I painted at about a 45-degree angle because that's the best angle for the camera. I normally paint upright.
Perfect. Why do you wear gloves?
Well, I have a camera, a computer, a all sorts of stuff. And if I touch it with my hands covered with paint, they'll be covered with paint. The gloves dry off fast. Also, I do a lot of blending with my fingers, and I don't like getting paint all caked in my fingernails and cuticles. There's all kinds of reasons, but the computer equipment and the blending is good enough, right?
Okay, Karen says, do you use a limited palette primarily for your classes, or do you use a limited palette when you're painting for yourself as well?
I started out using a huge palette with like 20 colors. And I realized the more I limited my palette, the easier color mixing got and the less mud I had. And the more I could remember what my mixtures were. When I just have red, yellow, and blue in the corners like I did, I can remember how I made that orange. There's no mystery there. I can remember how I mixed my greens because it's visually right there. The map to how I mixed it is right in front of my eyes. So yes, I limit my palettes all the time.
It's awesome. Okay, how do you make a yellow into a higher or lesser value?
Okay, lighten a yellow with white. You can darken a yellow a number of ways. If you add black, it turns green. If you add blue, it turns green. If you add red, which is a dark color, it turns orange. You can add a yellow ochre, it darkens it. You can add a brownish color, it'll darken it. It is hard to get a yellow to stand out as brilliant when you've darkened it. Just remember, it will change. It's the one color that will change color the most when you darken it. You're going to have to mess around, but I usually use a brownish color to darken it. How about you, Jed? How do you darken your yellows?
I was just going to say, if I wanted to stay as bright as possible, I'll mix orange with it or something like that, because it will still stay on the outside, of the color wheel. But anything else will bring it in and it will gray it down some. Wendy says, it looks so easy. Do you spray your canvas to keep it so easy to blend in the strokes?
Well, did you notice how fast I was painting? Some people were commenting, oh, this is all sped up. Well, there was a couple places where I sped up at the beginning, but most of it is me painting as fast as my hands will go, because that overrides me being too critical and it keeps the paint wet. Yeah. So no, I don't spritz. I work fast.
Okay, Chrissy says, in general, do yellows tend to read lighter in black and white and purples darker?
Yep, absolutely. Yes.
Diana, what stopped you from making mud when you painted over the sky color?
I think when you paint over, the sky was already starting to dry, so it didn't pick up and muddy. But you've just got to wash. If you want a nice clean color, wash your brush out, swish it, and dry it off, and pick up your clean color. If you want to cover color that's wet, use a thicker glob, and it will go over instead of blending it all up.
Can you tell me the main color in the upper sky?
Sure. Yeah, it's right here.
I just think we could. Let's go like this.
Blue shade with white over here. And there's a little bit of, I think, there we go, phthalo blue and ultramarine blue, just a tiny touch over here. But the main color is phthalo green.
Beautiful. I love that. Can I purchase this actual painting? Lynn is asking.
Later.
Sure. Maybe reach out to support@acrylicuniversity.com and we'll get you in touch with Diana, and you can talk to her directly. Valerie says, any particular reason why you chose the reddish orange for the first overall wash of paint? Are some colors better to start with than others?
I chose it because I knew I was going to be putting a lot of green in that sky. And I just wanted something to to bounce against the green, and red does that really nicely. But I don't think there's any one color that is the answer for everything. I think every painting will tell you what you'd like underneath, what would bounce well with the colors you're going to put on there.
What kind of gloves do you use?
Those are nitrile gloves. They tend to not cause allergic reactions. So yeah.
That's good. Hey, I've got this. Peter, let me show this one real quick. Can you show the original photo with color?
It's up there. Isn't it on the...
Is it in the dashboard?
I thought it was on the dashboard. Oh, I don't think I did.
We might have it. We might have it somewhere. We might be able to put it on the dashboard.
Yeah, but now put it on the dashboard after the fact, but don't copy it, okay? When you do your painting, don't copy the original color. It's boring.
Yeah, there's a reason that we don't always show you that kind of thing, because it might make you less imaginative. If you go, oh, that's the color that it should be. If you just see the black and white, you're going to have to use your imagination a little bit. You don't know.
Yeah, right.
Okay. What is his name? Now I need to look him up and see his work. Oh, my goodness. Okay, let me see if I can find the book. I know you're talking about my friend from Indiana. I'll go look for it right now. What is the clear sheet you use?
Oh, well, you know, I have a stack of them that I got years ago. Some of them I got at the dollar store, $1 for a pack of 10, but the best value was something I got a box of like 500 at Costco like 20 years ago. I'm still using. And you can get them at Office Depot or anything like that.
Okay. Sorry about that, but I went over and I got this book here. It's called Indiana Waterways. And let me see inside. Okay. My friend, his name is Dan Woodson, and he's right in there. He's one of those guys. And anyway, his brother is named Tom. And but Dan's the one who is colorblind. So there you go. Emmanuel asks, do you wet the paper or canvas first?
Just with that wash, with that initial wash. It was really that's the only time I put water in my paint, and it was real watery. So yeah, it made it wet.
Cliff says, was the clear sheet a sheet protector?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Just a regular sheet protector. Yeah, you can use any kind of clear, semi-thick plastic on it, though, that you have.
Okay, we kind of answered that one already about limited palette. How can I make my painting look less cartoonish? Rosa says. It's kind of hard to answer a question like that in a way because we can't see your painting.
Right.
There might be a couple particular things that you could do that would do it, but I don't know. Diana, do you have any general thoughts?
Yes. When I first started painting, I thought my paintings looked like cartoons, and they had like black outlines. So when I learned to lose some edges in the shadows, like shadows blur out the edges of things. Take a look at any shadow and you cannot see hard edges. So use that as an opportunity to blur, and everything will look more real.
That's interesting. That's probably a very good kind of idea, because when you look at a cartoon, they all have that black outline, and great artwork often has lost edges, right? Mm-hmm. Where there's things that transition from one to the other. Okay, Denia says, I found a reference photo, but the sky is dark. So basically the entire photo is the bottom 3 levels. Should I just make the sky lighter?
Ooh, well, it sounds really moody. You could do it the way it is, or choose to make the sky lighter. It's up to you. Those bottom 3 values could be an incredibly moody painting. You get to pick.
Denia, what I would suggest is, there's the idea of having a dominant value in your painting, and so you might just decide, okay, well, it's a relatively dark painting, but you might just have an area that has a lighter value to provide that contrast. Okay, Concha says, what brand of paint do you use?
Mostly Golden brand, but I have some Liquitex Professional. I have a few Winsor Newton. They're interchangeable. Just get professional quality.
Do you ever choose 2 yellows, 2 reds, and 2 blues?
Mm-hmm. Depends on the painting, but yeah, sure. Yes.
Diana sometimes will even put her blues together, like ultramarine blue and phthalo blue, and mix it together so that it's just one blue.
Mm-hmm.
Margaret says, can we do a different scene? Yes, absolutely. You totally can, Margaret. There's no rules about having to paint the same thing that we are painting.
I saw a question in there that said, how many clean brushes did I pick up? 2.
Okay, 2.
Just 2. Then I was swishing and wiping with paper towel the rest of the time.
Okay. Why do you underpaint the sky only to wipe it off? I see a body of water behind the barns extending from the left to the right. Why did you not include the lake or pond?
Well, that's interesting. I didn't see it as a lake or pond. That didn't appear like that to me. And I put that wash on only to wipe it off because it still left some of the red behind. It didn't completely come off to a white canvas, but I wanted it to read as where my light values would go. And I mainly used that wash, especially when you have a more complex scene. If I was doing a really complicated, like still life or something, that would be the most valuable tool I used to help me figure out where my lights, mid values, and darks went and how you would assemble them in a picture. But some of the colors stayed and some of the colors showed through. So that's why.
When I swish my brush, the paint remains. What's your secret? Swish harder. You have to probably put it down into the bottom or something like that. Not just swish it around, because you need to really kind of work that out. And I don't know if you have another. I also will wipe with a paper towel, and sometimes I'll wipe before I wash my brush out. But what about you, Diana?
Yeah, I swish hard, put it all the way down in the bottom of the container. I make sure that when I'm painting, I don't get paint up into the ferrules of the brush. The ferrules of the brush is that metal part that holds the bristles on. If there's paint up in there, it's going to leak down into the rest of the paint. So I always pick the paint up on the tip of the brush, swish, and then wipe really hard, and it'll be clean enough.
Okay, my orange doesn't look orange when I use quinacridone red and cadmium yellow. Any suggestions?
Put blue next to it.
Yeah, and I'd also say that quinacridone red is a little bit more of a magenta. If you were mixing with cadmium red or naphthol red or something that's more of an orange red, it will mix a brighter orange.
Yeah.
Okay, I've got another question here. What is the tool you mix colors and used like a knife? I mean, we know that this, I don't think you answered this already, but we know that this is a common question.
Yes, it is a common question. It's called a color shaper. They also call it a spatcher. There's another brand called a spatcher. And what was the other brand name? A painting blade. It's just like it's a spatula. It's basically, and I was showing my dollar store spatula that I mixed with it. It is a cooking spatula that I got at the dollar store, literally. So
Divina says, thank you, Diana. You are the best teacher.
Thank you.
Very
That's
true.
really nice. Thank you.
Lisa says, is that more about painting what you actually see than what you think you see?
Is what? I
Yeah,
wonder
I'm not
what.
sure what you're referring to, Lisa, but I do think that what you're hinting at, there's a good thing to remember about art is that your eyes observe things, but your brain sometimes wants to interpret it with an icon or like something that it thinks it knows. And so learning to really observe well with your eyes and not let your brain overrule things is a super important thing to learn.
Yeah, Lisa just said it's the cartoon thing. And yeah, we tend to think in words, and we tend to then paint almost pictograms if we're not careful, the way we did when we were kindergartners. You know, a person looks like this, a house looks like this, a little thing with a chimney and smoke. And if we're not careful, we end up painting that way too. So we have to really let go of those words and think in terms of overall things. Is this bigger or smaller? Is it darker or lighter? Is it warmer or cooler? Is it a blurry edge or a sharp edge? Those are the things we need to think about, not is it a house or a tree? So that's kind of my answer to the cartoon question in a little more depth.
Cheryl says, what happens to a brush when you forget it in the water overnight? Kind of depends on the brush. All sorts of stuff. Usually for me, the worst thing that happens is the bristles bend a little bit.
Yeah, they can get all frayed. They can just, you have a brush that's like this instead of like that. You don't want that. So yeah, don't do that. Clean them out when you're done.
Chrissy says, what color should I invest in because of opacity issues? Boy, that's a good question. I think what you're saying is you would like to have colors that are more opaque and they cover things. Do you have any thoughts on that, Diana?
Yeah, I the white I use is extremely opaque. It is Utrecht brand white. You can only get it at what am I thinking of? Dick Blick store.
Yeah.
But it is incredibly opaque. And it makes everything you mix into it incredibly opaque. So, but it has to be titanium white. Any other white is not opaque enough.
Yeah. Do the professional quality paints apply smoother on the canvas than student level?
I don't know.
It kind of depends. I would say that my take is there are some brands of paint that are thicker than others. Like the more professional grade paints usually are a little bit thicker than the student grade paints, and the student grade paints are a little bit like runnier, but in some ways that makes them easier to smooth out. So I don't know if it's necessarily that they apply smoother, but they cover better. They usually have a really nice texture to them. But I don't know if I'd say that they apply smoother necessarily. Yeah. There's probably a different way to think of it. You might not be thinking about the texture of it, but the thicker the paint, the more texture you'll be able to have for sure. Okay, how do you overcome preconceptions about color? Do you recommend any exercises?
Just what we did today. Exactly what we did today. Get a black and white photo and intentionally choose a color that you don't think should be there. If you think the sky is blue, intentionally pick a not blue color. If you think the trees are green, intentionally pick a not green color. Stick to the values. Try it. See what you can do.
Karen says, how do you get a sharp edge when you're painting loose?
If you noticed in my tutorial, I had a big wide 2-inch brush, and I laid it on the edge I wanted sharp and pulled it away from the edge. And then I laid it on the edge and pulled it down. It's still a loose painting. It just had a sharp edge on the side of the barn. So, and it's a combination of hard and loose edges. You can, it's backwards for me. You can see that where I laid the brush down, there's a hard edge. And where I didn't, there's all these lost and soft edges up in the sky too.
Oh, sorry, Peter. I saw this come through. This was, I think, talking about what I was referring to with the smoothness of a paint. And yeah, there are different grades of paint, like student and professional, but there are also soft body, fluid, that kind of thing. Usually what I find is that the student grade paint is only in one grade, I think. I'm just thinking through Golden's, like Golden only has professional grade. Liquitex, their student grade paint is called Basics, and I think it's supposed to be probably a heavy body or a medium body. It doesn't say though. Like I feel as if when you're in the professional grade paints is when you see more options in terms of the viscosity of the paint.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Saltwater Finches asked, wow, that's cool. Is there a value to prime the already primed commercial canvas? We kind of talked about this the other day, and both of us don't really think that there's a real value unless you're changing the color or you want extra texture or something like that.
I've had students who find that some canvases they buy, their paint won't stick to it. And that's because they apply a coating of stuff that keeps them from mildewing. And if your paint isn't sticking to the canvas, take it into the bathtub and scrub it off, because they put that protective coating on it to keep it safe during shipping and transport. So if your paint's peeling off, don't try to just paint over it. Just take it in the bathtub or out on the lawn and rinse it off.
Okay, what size brushes did you use? Yesterday, Jed used a number 6. I had a number 6, yet it was small. I actually used a number 16 and a number 20 most of the time. So that's why you might have gotten confused. What about you today, Diana?
I used a 2-inch wide brush that didn't have a number on it because I bought it too many years ago and the number's worn off. So, but it's 2 inches wide, and a number 6. A number 6 flat.
Very good. Okay.
I'm pretty sure that's it. I can't remember, but I'm pretty sure that's it.
Sometimes my paint dries chalky in areas. Do you varnish afterwards, or did you?
I do. I varnish. Yeah, always.
Yeah. Somebody else asked that question. Can you tell them what you use?
Yes. Let me get it. First of all, I put this on, which is an isolation coat. It completely covers and seals the painting. It's very shiny though. So I just put a layer of this isolation coat because it will protect the painting. And then I put a coat of, I think I have a Liquitex Professional Satin varnish that I put on. It's called Liquitex Professional Satin Varnish. That's the name of it. And I paint it on because I can't use sprays. It hurts my lungs. I think, Jed, you spray, don't you?
I do. Yeah, I do. I'm going to show something here. Somebody was asking what the book is that I was talking about. It's called Indiana Waterways, The Art of Conservation. And yeah, this is the one that has, so it was kind of cool. I went to one of the plein air events that I used to go to all the time, and Tom and Dan were there, and he said, "Hey, can you send me your address? I'll give you this. I'll give you this book." So yeah, it's really cool. Goes through all these different, there's a lot of stuff in here that I haven't ever even read, but I've just kind of looked through at all the paintings, which is kind of the most interesting part for me. But yeah, really cool. They go through, and a number of different artists take turns painting these different waterways. So, yep, that's the book.
Okay.
Okay, how much tooth do you like on your canvases?
We're the same on this. We use really Jed and I both use an ultra smooth panel, which has 0 tooth. Nothing.
Yeah.
It's smooth as
Yeah.
satin, or
Yeah.
smoother than satin, even.
Yeah.
It has no tooth.
And the reason that I like it is because it shows all the brush marks and it doesn't get confused with anything else. Like all you see are the brush marks, which is kind of fun if you're painting in acrylics. You get to see them a little bit more.
Yeah,
Good
that's
question.
what I like about it too. Oil paints tend to stay on top a little bit better when you're using canvas. But acrylics tend to flatten just a little bit, and you can see for me, you can see too much of the canvas texture. So I like my brush marks to stand out.
Get her done says, wait just a second. Thank you for such a wonderful class. You're very welcome.
Yeah.
Okay, Peter, what was the one that you had? Are your brushes more stiff bristles or bendy?
I think they're more stiff.
Mine are definitely more stiff, like these Princeton Aspen. They're like, if you compare them to a watercolor brushes are very, very soft. These are soft, but they have quite a bit of
they have snap.
Yeah, snap. There you go.
Some snap. Watercolor brushes are made from animal hair, and these are made from synthetic materials. So they're just a little more spunky, I guess. Snappy.
Nira says, should the painting completely dry before applying a varnish? And absolutely yes, you need it to be completely dry. Acrylics dry relatively quickly, so that's a good thing. But you don't want to, finish and then like in the same minute, start spraying varnish or applying varnish. You want to give it some time so that you make sure that everything's dry. Donna says, where do you get ultra smooth canvases? Is that a brand name? Well, the ones that I think, do you use the Da Vinci ones, Diana?
Yeah.
They're from Jerry's Artorama, and that's the only place I've seen them, actually. I don't know for sure if there are other places. I'll show you again, maybe you can see Da Vinci Pro Panels, Ultra Smooth. I'm sure that there's other versions of something similar to this, but that's kind of what I've found. Can I use oil paints with these classes? Yes, you can. It might be difficult to do some things that happen quickly, like if Diana was painting and changing something that was wet, but then 10 minutes later it's dry. Of course, that's going to be a little different for you. So you have to modify your approach, but the basic principles that we're going to be teaching apply to oils easily. Yeah.
That painting, I think, was maybe 40 minutes. In oils, it would have been at least a couple hours, or it would have been a couple hours one day, and then a week later, a couple more hours, because you need to let things set up a little bit. So I painted in oils for a number of years, and I much prefer the spontaneity of acrylics, to tell you the truth.
Okay, Sean, can you varnish on paintings that are years old? Yes, you can. There's nothing that says you can't. I think that's what you mean. Yeah, I'm starting to have second thoughts on your question, but I think that if you mean just varnish an old painting, yes, absolutely you can.
Yeah.
How can you get the Dick Blick savings? Is asking a good question on it as well. There's not a discount necessarily from Dick Blick that we just have some lists that are easy to order from, but we don't necessarily get anything different than what they offer. But usually if you're part of our community or something like that, a lot of times people will tell everybody, hey, like Dick Blick is having a great sale right now, on canvases. So, but there's nothing except just the lists that are easy to buy. Every once in a while, we'll get a deal from like Princeton, the brushes, where we can order off of their website, kind of bypass the normal art stores, and they will give us a direct link with a coupon code to their site. But that just happens every once in a while. When do you choose a bright brush? Connie asks.
Okay, well, these are flats, and they have really long bristles. Brights are this is a number 8 flat, has a long flat bristles. Brights are just shorter bristles. So when you want to really push the paint across, use a bright. When you want to get really expressive brush marks, use a flat.
Hey, this is really awesome. Laura Lee says, I went to Blix one day and told them I was part of Acrylics University, and they gave me a discount because I was a student.
Woohoo!
That's kind of cool. Yeah, so
right?
maybe if you go in person and tell them, maybe they'll give you a discount. I don't know. Well, guys, I know there might be a couple that come in after the fact, but we are so thankful for you. We need to go. Let's all give Diana another round of applause and say thank you. Doing such a great job of teaching.
Thank you, Diana.
Being joyful. We appreciate you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
All right, you guys, on Friday, we are opening our membership. I hope that you will consider joining us and taking your art to the next level. It is going to be one of the best years ever inside of Acrylic University. We have just launched something that is so cool. I'll tell you more about it on Friday, but it is a community circle thing that we have launched that you get to get into breakout rooms with other artists on a regular basis and take that journey together. It's going to be so awesome to add to all the other incredible stuff. So we'll look forward to seeing you on Friday. Friday is going to be Mastering Light. Have fun with these practice paintings in between. Make sure that you're courageous and you're reminding yourself that you're as bold as a lion, and go have fun. Go just enjoy this process, you guys. Yeah. We love you. We believe in you. And we'll see you Friday.
Love you guys. Bye.